Even with the sets of Infinity War and Endgame being locked down tighter than I get my barber to do my fade these days, scoops and secrets are the currency of the internet, so it's no wonder that the odd thing does get out. It's already fairly well established that both time travel and the quantum realm will play some part in this movie, given that they've teased both in the trailer already, and there are some reasonable assumptions we can make about things that'll have to happen by the end. I mean, Spider-Man's got his own film coming up, so he's gonna come back from the dead somehow. Basically, there's a few interesting things we don't officially know about Endgame yet, but the Marvel don't really seem to mind if we find out about or not. But what about the stuff they don't want getting out? Well, thanks to certain licensing agreements and bits of merchandise and reliable sources and, well, half of their own cast, there are a few bits of information out there that should raise pretty big eyebrows, like the dad from the OC level eyebrows. Anyway, my name is Adam Cleary, and these are 10 things Marvel doesn't want you to know about Avengers Endgame. Number 10, Valkyrie is back. After disappearing sometime after Thor Ragnarok, but before the beginning of Avengers Endgame, it was sort of presumed that Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie had been maybe forgotten about to an extent, but no, she is back for this. There was always a suggestion that this was going to happen, given that A, her character is really good, B, she's right in the middle of Thor's storyline, and C, she was supposed to be at the very forefront of an all-female superhero team-up for Marvel, but it has taken Hasbro to confirm it. Their tie-in figures for Avengers Endgame have now been spotted in the wild, and along with a few other little confirmations here and there, they do mention the return of Valkyrie wearing her white and gold armor. Basically, she's ready for a fight, as you'd expect. Number 9, Professor Hulk. As the culmination of Hulk's 3-movie arc, which I don't know if you remember, Mark Ruffalo told us they can't do a Hulk film, so what they're doing is a Hulk film within 3 other films. Like if you take all the bits from Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame, that's a little self-contained Hulk movie for you. Yes, yeah, I didn't know about that either. Anyway, as the culmination to this arc, we're going to be getting the resolution of the Banner Hulk conflict, let's just call it, in Endgame, with the introduction of Professor Hulk. If you're unfamiliar with this iteration of the character from the comic books, then just think of it as Banner's brain inside Hulk's body. So a scientist, very intelligent, very articulate, but still almighty and powerful and smash whenever he wants to. Cast your minds back to the early leaked concept art where we saw Hulk in clothes, which was quite unusual for someone who just rips things to bits. How would you dress yourself with all that power? We asked ourselves, and the answer is here. We've had this exact version of the character now confirmed by the toys, which does sort of suggest that somehow they'll put aside their issues, get over their performance problems, and merge into this best of both worlds style character. That should be interesting. Number 8, the Outriders are back. After they were brought in by Thanos for the climactic battle in Infinity War, the Outriders, who, now that I actually think about it, their inclusion was a bit random, wasn't it? Because he was working with Chitauri. Anyway, those big, multi-limbed, huge teeth, Gene Stealer looking dudes are back for Endgame. A good old-fashioned Lego leak actually sorted this one out. On a now deleted Instagram post, one of the sets mentioned was Captain America Outrider attack, which, I mean, they're in it, aren't they, then, if they're doing the Lego? Now, yes, they did appear to be mostly defeated or killed or blown up or exploded or shocked with lightning or impaled by Groot or whatever, and Thanos would have obviously left the ones that were left after he did the old, you remember the thing, I still don't want to talk about it. The fact that we're getting them back does imply there's going to be another large-scale battle, or perhaps a redo of the one we got in Infinity War. We'll have to wait and see. Number 7, Rocket Raccoon rescues Tony Stark. In the wake of the first Endgame trailer, the major question we had was how on earth was Tony Stark going to fix his little predicament of being stuck in space, about to die. Now, yes, he wasn't alone. Nebula is on the ship as well, but somehow they've got to fix that. Well, the suggestion is now that it's going to be none other than Rocket Raccoon who ends up saving the day there, and it comes from an unusual source, Audi. The company recently put out a press statement about their partnership with Marvel as part of this consumer electronics show they're going to be doing sometime later this year, but it says that there's going to be a VR experience there called Marvel's Avengers Rocket's Rescue Run, which is a very catchy title, yes, but it allows you to pilot as Rocket in a spaceship as he navigates through an asteroid field. Now, admittedly, there isn't not a whole lot to go on with that, but the fact that it's a rescue mission and that it's Marvel's Avengers instead of Guardians of the Galaxy does does set off a couple of little alarm bells, doesn't it? Because who else needs rescuing other than Tony Stark? Where is Tony Stark? He is in space, and Audi can't have just pulled this idea out of their head without having it signed off by Marvel, especially as this is going to come out after the film as well, so, Number 6, Thanos gets a new weapon. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Thanos already has the most powerful weapon in the entire universe, and by that I mean, obviously, the Infinity Gauntlet, not his scathing levels of sass. So the fact that he's coming to the second fight with another toy sort of implies something's amiss. The confirmation for this comes from Hasbro again, those sneaky little toy buggers, and it shows Thanos in all that armor he abandoned at the end of Infinity War with a badass double-bladed sword. I mean, that looks... Jesus, dear God, I want that. There were some rumors that it was going to be the Infinity Sword, but that does seem relatively unlikely. Either way, it's cool. Number 5, Catherine Lankford's cameo. Despite the cast being, and how can I word this without bursting into tears, thinned out slightly for the purposes of Endgame, we're still going to get an exciting cameo from none other than Catherine Lankford. You remember her, she's from 13 Reasons Why and Love, Simon. Now, if rumours are to be believed, she's going to be playing the MCU's version of Kate Bishop, whoever that ends up being, and from here, she's going to move straight into the now newly rumoured Young Avengers movie. Back in October 2018, The Wrap confirmed that Lankford had entered the MCU in an as-yet unnamed role. They said that she has filmed scenes for the currently untitled Avengers 4, but character details were not available, and Marvel Studios had no comment. She was only on set briefly though, so this obviously isn't a major role, but she is going to be getting introduced for something important down the line, you would imagine. Plus the fact that it's a mystery means that we can speculate on it really, really nicely. So, in the comments with that one. Number 4, The Greater Threat. Now, Marvel have worked super duper hard to stop spoilers getting out about what's going to happen after Endgame. Obviously, they've had to announce a few films because that's just what you have to do with movies, but beyond that, they've kept their lips as sealed as possible. But one thing we do know is that this film is going to introduce an even greater threat that will carry forward into the rest of the MCU. A while back, there was this report on comicbook.com that appeared to show some official Avengers Endgame merch, even before we knew Endgame was the official title. You remember it had Thor and Rocket in those costumes, which have now been confirmed to be real, and it also had a plot synopsis that's, well, opened a lot of eyes. The Asgardian Thor wields the mighty Stormbreaker in his battle against new foes. Rocket teams up with a new crew to guard the galaxy from an even greater threat. Now, the speculation is obviously that could be the Skrulls, that could be Galactus, or it could even be Annihilus, but the fact that it could be something completely new altogether is mouth-watering. Number 3, Tony Stark has a child. Now, yes, he might be lost in space, but it appears that Tony Stark is still going to have left something of a legacy back on Earth. Oi oi, as Pepperpot has apparently had his child while he's been off doing all that and letting his life just eke away in space. Gwyneth Paltrow, God bless her, now ranks up there with Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo when it comes to accidentally letting things out about films they're involved in, and it looks like she's not only given away a big part of her own character's arc, more on that in a bit, but also what the future holds for her and Tony. During an interview with the official Avengers Infinity War magazine, Paltrow had this to say. Pepper and Tony have had a real long journey together. She obviously starts as his dutiful assistant and the relationship evolves, and now, this decade later, they're married and they have a child. Their relationship has evolved in all the ways that yada yada yada, etc, etc. They have a child. Straight up, Marvel only have themselves to blame for actually printing that in their official merchandise, but nonetheless, it's still a pretty big leap from where we last left the character. Although it does kind of fit in with this idea of a time jump, doesn't it? If he's knocked her up, if he's slung one up her before he left the planet, and then he comes back and there's a baby Tony. Number 2, Crossbones and the Ancient One. Though they are both, how do I put this, incredibly dead, we have had confirmation that Captain America's old foe Crossbones and Doctor Strange's old, what's the opposite of a protege? A negligee? A teacher. His old teacher, the Ancient One, will be back for this film. Don't expect major roles for either of them in this. We think Crossbones is only in a flashback scene, and you imagine it would be something similar, something cosmic for the Ancient One, but could be Tony Stark's barf technology, which you remember is going to be the key to all this, or else I said I'd do something, I forget what. Frank Grillo, and I know I said God bless Paltrow, but God bless him, because he does not give one shiny brass penny about all of this. He's not doing another Marvel film, so he doesn't care what he tells you. He spoke to the UFC Unfiltered podcast, because, I mean, why wouldn't you, back in October 2018, and he said about Crossbones, he makes an appearance in the next Avengers movie, but it's a flashback. I'm allowed to say whatever I want because I'm never doing another Marvel movie. I'm 117 years old. Now, handily for Marvel, but a nightmare for me when I was trying to Google all this, Grillo's namesake, Michael Grillo, also revealed that Tilda Swinton would be back in this film. His exact words were, when we got Tilda Swinton, she was just a one-day availability. They asked him how hard it was to bring all the cast back together for this film, and he talked about Tilda Swinton, who was a surprise appearance. Well done! Number 1, Pepperpot is rescue. You see, this is a callback to before, because I said more on that later. This is the later, eh? Good. Now, we knew ages ago that Pepperpot was going to be in this film, as she was in all the set photos with Happy Hogan, but her exact role in this was mysterious. Now, she only had a very, very small part in Infinity War, and with all due respect to her here, there wasn't really much necessity for an administrator of large corporate business. When you've got these massive fights going on all over the galaxy for these magical gems, like, you know, you do you, girl. Go get that cash, but not here. But this time it seems like she's going to be far more involved, as she will be pulling on a suit of Iron Man, Iron Person armor and becoming Rescue, as she did in the comics. The leak comes courtesy of Paltrow again, because of course it does. Back in 2017, she posted a picture on her Instagram of her getting a foot massage, if that's your thing. But it did also show that she was wearing a motion capture suit, which she would only need if she was playing a CGI augmented role, like wearing a suit of Iron Man armor. If that's not enough for you, she also posted a selfie in the Iron Man armor. So that's that. So there you have it. Let us know which of these revelations you're most interested in seeing, as well as which ones aren't even revelations at all. Which ones are completely wrong? Shout them all out in the comments below, and of course don't forget to like, share and subscribe. In the meantime though, thank you very much for watching. I've of course been Adam Cleary. I'll see you soon.